When I discovered my wife working as a servant in the $9.5 million mansion, she no longer recognized me. So I turned around, got in my car, and made 3 phone calls. The kind of calls that start a very different kind of mission. I would make them regret they were ever born. But before I tell you what happened in those next 4 days, drop a comment and let me know where are you watching this from. Because what I'm about to share isn't just my story, it's a warning. The coastal road into Charleston had never felt longer. 6 months of complete blackout, no calls, no emails, nothing. The kind of contract work where communication could get you killed. But it was over now, and I was going home. To Dorothy, I declined the debrief at Joint Base Charleston. After 6 months in the dark, a man earned the right to see his wife before pushing paper. I showered at the airport, changed into civilian clothes, and drove toward 2847 Harbor View Drive, with my heart doing something it rarely did anymore, racing. 15 years ago, I'd bought that waterfront mansion. With my first contractor bonus, $9.5 million, Dorothy had cried when she saw it. "It's too much, Richard." But her eyes were shining. "We'll grow old here. I'd promised. I'd kept my promises." $30,000 deposited every month, never missed. Insurance policies, trust funds, everything in place so Dorothy would never want for anything. The wrought iron gate stood open when I arrived. Music drifted from the backyard. Jazz and laughter. I checked my watch. 2:15 on a Saturday afternoon. Maybe Dorothy was hosting one of her charity events. I parked on the street and walked up the Palm Line driveway. The circular drive was packed with luxury vehicles. Mercedes, BMW, a Maserati, Charleston's Elite. Something tightened in my gut. The same instinct that had kept me alive in Kandahar and Mogadishu. I moved along the side yard, staying in the shadows. Old habits. Through a gap in the hedges, I saw the pool area and stopped cold. 30, maybe 40 people scattered around my backyard. Men in polo shirts, women in sundresses, wine glasses catching the afternoon sun, and moving between them with a tray of champagne flutes was my wife. I didn't recognize her at first. The woman I'd left 6 months ago had been vibrant fit for morning swims and yoga. This woman looked ancient. Her auburn hair was pulled back in a severe gray bun. She wore a black uniform dress with a white apron, sensible shoes. She limped. My hands curled into fists as I watched her navigate the crowd, head down, offering drinks. No one thanked her. No one even looked at her. She was furniture to them. A guest snapped his fingers. Dorothy hurried over that painful shuffling gait and bent to retrieve his empty glass. I saw her dubious. "Arthritis." "Mom, we need more ice." The voice cut through the music. I shifted position, and there he was. Benjamin. My son lounged on a pool chair like a king, designer sunglasses reflecting the sun. The woman beside him was young, late 20s, blonde, expensive-looking Amanda, his new wife. Dorothy had mentioned her in emails. "She seems nice." Nice. Amanda wore a white bikini that probably cost a month's rent. She sipped something pink and laughed, her hand possessive on Benjamin's chest. Dorothy emerged from the house carrying a heavy ice bucket. Each step looked painful. No one helped. Benjamin didn't even look at her, just gestured vaguely toward the bar. I watched my wife, the woman I'd loved for 30 years, serve drinks to people who treated her like she was invisible. The rage that filled me was cold and clean. The kind that had made me very good at a very dangerous job. I could have crossed that lawn in 15 seconds. Could have grabbed Benjamin by his throat. But 12 years of SEAL training had taught me something more valuable than violence patience. I needed to understand what I was seeing. Needed evidence. Needed to know how deep this went, because this wasn't Dorothy hosting a party. This was Dorothy serving one in her own home. I pulled out my burner phone and took photos, wide shots, close-ups of Dorothy's pained movements, Benjamin and Amanda's casual, cruelty timestamps documentation. A woman near the hedge laughed too loud. "The help is so slow, I don't know why they keep her." Benjamin says she's family. Another replied some kind of obligation. Family obligation. The words detonated in my skull. I watched for 20 more minutes, cataloging everything. The way Amanda's eyes tracked Dorothy like a warden watching an inmate. The way Benjamin never questioned why his mother was serving his guests. Dorothy disappeared into the house. I circled around and caught a glimpse through the kitchen window. She stood at the sink, shoulders shaking, crying. Silent, practiced crying, the kind you do when making noise brings consequences. I'd seen enough. I moved back to my rental and sat in the air-conditioned silence, forcing my breathing to slow. Combat breathing. 4 counts and 4 hold 4 out. The rage was a tool, not a master. I needed answers. Property records, financial accounts, legal documents. I had access to databases most people didn't know, existed favors owed from years of keeping the right people alive. The phone felt heavy in my hand. I could call Dorothy, could call Benjamin, could call the police, and report that my wife was hosting a party I didn't like. No, this required reconnaissance intelligence gathering, understanding the battlefield before engaging the enemy. Someone had made my wife an enemy in her own home. I started the engine and drove toward downtown Charleston, mind already working through the steps. By tonight, I'd know everything. And then only then would I decide how to burn their world down. I could have walked out there and grabbed Benjamin by the throat. But 12 years of tactical operations had taught me patience. I needed evidence. 3 blocks from Harbor View Drive, I found a coffee shop with corner seating and decent Wi-Fi. I ordered black coffee I wouldn't drink and claimed a table with my back to the wall, eyes on the door. Old habits. I powered up the encrypted laptop Raymond Brooks had built for me years ago. Untraceable, capable of accessing systems most people didn't know existed, starting with Charleston County property records. I typed in the Harborview Drive address and waited. Current owner Benjamin Robert Coleman, transfer date April 15, 2023. Purchase price $11. A family transfer I'd never authorized. I pulled up the deed documents. Dorothy's signature sat there, dated 3 years ago. I zoomed in, studying the curves. Wrong. Dorothy's capital D always had a distinctive flourish from her Catholic school days. This D was close, but the pressure was different. The tail too short. Forgery. I saved screenshots and moved to court records. Charleston County probate court case. 2024 PR 3847 petition for guardianship, Benjamin Coleman versus Dorothy Coleman, status granted. I opened the medical documentation physician statement from Dr. Kenneth Ward, dated February 2024. Patient Dorothy Coleman, age 50, presents with progressive cognitive decline consistent with early onset dementia. Patient requires full-time supervision. Dementia at 50. I'd spoken to Dorothy 8 months ago via satellite phone. She'd been sharp as ever, complaining about the neighbors' parties, asking when I'd be home. That wasn't dementia. I searched Dr. Kenneth Ward, North Charleston Cash Clinic reviews, mentioning, "We'll sign whatever you need." The kind of doctor who'd lost his moral compass somewhere between medical school and debt. Next, financial records. 20 minutes of encrypted channels and old favors. Later, I had Dorothy's bank statements. The pattern was clear. My monthly deposits of $30,000 had accumulated over years. Dorothy was careful with money. By 2023, she'd saved nearly $2 million. Then the withdrawals started. $50,000, $80,000, all authorized by legal guardian Benjamin Coleman. By 2024, I'm $100 to $800 remaining, $2 million gone. Benjamin had gotten himself appointed guardian on fraudulent medical grounds. Then he'd systematically drained her accounts, the house transferred with a forged signature. But that didn't explain the uniform. Dorothy serving his guests. I opened another search. My life insurance policy, $15 million through my contractor work. Beneficiary Dorothy Coleman. Contingent Benjamin Coleman. I accessed the insurance database. Claim LF22 Freroice 1384. Policyholder Richard James Coleman. Date of death August 12, 2024. Cause killed in action. Body unreoverable status. Paid $15,000. Dollars paid to Benjamin Coleman, legal guardian executive 6 months ago. Right when I'd gone dark, they declared me dead. Benjamin used my absence to create a death certificate. Since Dorothy was supposedly incompetent, he claimed the insurance as her legal representative. $15 million plus Dorothy's $2 million plus the $9.5 million house. My son had stolen everything. I pulled up social media. Benjamin's Instagram was public, a gallery of excess. Amanda in designer clothes, champagne bottles costing thousands. Benjamin on my pool deck. Finally living the life we deserve. The post started 6 months ago. Before that, a struggling entrepreneur startup failures mounting debt. Amanda appeared about a year ago. Young, beautiful, always touching something expensive. Designer bags, jewelry. One photo showed her in my living room. Home, sweet home. My home. Marriage license. Benjamin and Amanda. 14 months ago. Quiet courthouse ceremony. Dorothy hadn't mentioned it, which meant she probably hadn't been invited. Final search. Criminal records. Amanda Brown. Maiden name. 3 states. 4 aliases. Pattern of targeting wealthy men. No convictions but accusations. Fraud coercion 1 restraining order claiming financial manipulation. She was a predator and she'd found my son. The coffee shop's AC kicked on. I was sweating despite the cold. I closed the laptop and pulled out my burner phone. 3 calls to make? First, Raymond Brooks. I needed surveillance equipment military grade. Second, Nancy Griffin, best elder abuse attorney in South Carolina, former Marine. She'd understand. Third, Victor Lang, private investigator who owed me for Baghdad. I needed every financial record, every transaction, every shell company Benjamin and Amanda had created. The waitress passed, asking if I needed anything. I shook my head. My son had declared me dead, had stolen my wife's money, her home, her dignity, had reduced the woman who raised him to a servant. They thought I was gone, thought they were safe. 3 blocks away, Dorothy was probably still cleaning up from that party, still limping on arthritic knees, still locked in whatever hell Benjamin and Amanda had created. Not for much longer. I walked to my rental and sat in the driver's seat, phone in hand. The first number I dialed belonged to Raymond Brooks. He answered on the second ring. Richard, I need equipment, I said. Tonight. Can you help? There was a pause. Raymond had worked ports for 30 years. He knew when to ask questions and when to just say yes. What kind of equipment? The kind that sees everything? Another pause. Then give me 4 hours. I'll have what you need. I hung up and stared at the phone. 2 more calls to make. Raymond answered on the second ring. Richard, that's you. His voice brought back memories dawn shifts at Charleston Port. Cargo manifests the quiet competence of a man who'd spent 30 years keeping ships running. After retirement, Raymond had gone private security, consulting the kind that didn't ask questions when old friends needed favors. I need equipment, I said. Tonight. Silence. Then what kind? The kind that sees everything, hears everything, records everything. Raymond exhaled slowly. You in trouble? Not me. My wife. That was all he needed. Give me an address. 4 hours. I gave him a location. A marina parking lot, public enough to be safe, private enough to be discreet. He hung up without goodbye. Raymond understood operational security better than most people with clearances. 1 down, 2 to go. The second call was harder. Nancy Griffin didn't know me, but she knew my type. Her law office website showed the usual professional headshot case results credentials. What it didn't show was the Marine Corps service photo I'd found buried in a legal journal interview. Captain Nancy Griffin, JAG Corps, Iraq, 2005. She'd understand what I was about to ask. Her office number went to voicemail expected on a Saturday evening. I tried her emergency line, the one listed for crisis situations. Griffin clipped professional ready. Miss Griffin, my name is Richard Coleman. I'm calling about an elder abuse situation that requires immediate legal intervention. Are you the victim? No, my wife is. Is she in immediate danger? I thought about Dorothy limping through that party. The silent crying at the kitchen sink. The locked basement I hadn't seen yet, but somehow knew existed. Yes. Where are you now, Charleston? 3 blocks from the situation. Can you meet me at my office in 1 hour? Bring any documentation you have. I'll be there. She hung up. No wasted words. I liked her already. The third call went to a number I hadn't dialed in 3 years. It rang 6 times before connecting. This better be good. I'm watching the game. Victor Lang, private investigator, former Army intelligence, and the man who'd helped me track down a kidnapped contractor's daughter in Baghdad. I'd saved his life twice. He'd saved mine once. We were square, but the kind of square that meant we'd always answer each other's calls. I need a financial investigation, deep dive offshore accounts, shell companies, transaction histories. Who's my son's Victor was quiet for a moment. Your son and his wife, Amanda, a Coleman maiden named Brown. I need everything by tomorrow morning. Richard, I know what I'm asking. I know what it costs. It's not about cost. His voice softened. You sure about this? I closed my eyes, saw Dorothy's gray hair, her limping gait, her silent tears. I'm sure. Send me what you've got. I'll start tonight. I forwarded him the documentation. I'd gathered screenshots, case numbers, account information. My phone buzzed with his confirmation text. 30 seconds later, 3 allies, 3 professionals who understood that sometimes justice needed a tactical approach. I checked my watch. 5:30, I had an hour before meeting Nancy. 4 hours before meeting Raymond. Time to prepare. Hardware store first. I drove to a Lowe's on the edge of town. Paid cash for items I'd need. Work coveralls, clipboard basic tools, a contractor's vest with multiple pockets, the kind of outfit that made you invisible in an upscale neighborhood. Nobody questions the repair guy. At a FedEx office, I printed fake work orders on generic contractor letterhead. Lennox HVAC emergency service call. If anyone saw me tonight, they'd see a technician responding to a crisis. NY's office was downtown 3rd floor of a renovated historic building. She met me in the conference room, 50s steel gray hair eyes that had seen things and made decisions about them. She didn't offer coffee or small talk. Show me what you have. I opened my laptop and walked her through it. The forged deed, the fraudulent guardianship, the drained accounts, the fake death certificate, the insurance claim. NY's expression never changed, but her fingers tightened on her pen. How long have you been gone? 6 months full blackout. Before that, I came home every 6 months or so for a few weeks. And your son knew your schedule. Yes. She made notes fast and precise. The guardianship is the key. Once he had that, everything else became legal. He could sign her name access, her accounts, make medical decisions. On paper, he was protecting an incompetent person. But she's not incompetent. No. Which means this is fraud, elder abuse, and financial exploitation. Nancy looked up. You understand that your son will go to prison for this, yes, and you're prepared for that. I thought about Benjamin lounging by the pool while his mother served his guests. Yes? Nancy nodded once. I'll file an emergency petition Monday morning, but I need evidence beyond documents. I need proof of the abuse itself. You'll have it. How by Monday I'll have 72 hours of video footage showing exactly how they treat her. Nancy studied me. You're going back tonight? Yes. Alone. I don't need backup for reconnaissance. Something that might have been approval flickered across her face. Call me when you have the footage. We'll move fast once we do. These situations can escalate quickly. I stood. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This is going to get ugly. Family cases always do. At the marina, Raymond was waiting beside an unmarked van. He handed me a duffel bag without preamble. 12 cameras, pinhole lenses, audio 6-month batteries, wireless relay to this tablet. He passed me a device, encrypted unhackable. You'll have real-time access to everything. How much we'll call it even for Kabul? Kabul, the ambush Raymond's convoy had driven into the 3 hours I'd spent providing cover fire while they extracted casualties. Raymond, go get your wife back. Your wife. He climbed into his van. And Richard? Whatever you're planning, be smart. Anger makes mistakes. The van disappeared into evening traffic. I sat in my rental duffel bag in the passenger seat tablet, glowing with empty feeds waiting for cameras. 1000 p.m. Harbor View Drive would be dark now. Benjamin and Amanda would be inside, probably finishing dinner, counting their money, believing they'd won. I started the engine. Tonight I was going back. Tonight I'd plant camera. The house went dark at 11:30. I watched from the beach 2 properties down hidden, where sand met seagrass. No moon tonight, exactly what I needed. At midnight I moved low and slow along the beach using terrain and shadow. The back wall was 8 FT easy for someone who'd scaled compounds in Fallujah. I went over silently, landing with my duffel in the landscaped yard. Paused, listened. Pool filter hum. Ocean waves, nothing else. The French doors took 40 seconds to pick. Inside, the smell hit me wrong. Dorothy's vanilla candles and fresh flowers were gone, replaced by expensive perfume and chemical air freshener. The kitchen had changed completely, Dorothy's warm country style erased. Now, cold white marble and stainless steel magazine, perfect, soulless. I pulled the first camera from the duffel, smaller than a button, wireless, motion activated. Placed it inside the stove hood. Checked the tablet, green light, perfect angle. I moved through the house like a ghost. Camera behind the living room painting. Another in the potted plant. Dining room chandelier. Den bookshelf. Then the master bedroom. I opened the door an inch at a time. Benjamin snored. Amanda lay still beside him. Everything was different. Dorothy's 4-poster bed gone. Her grandmother's dresser gone. Now it looked like a hotel. Gray silk sheets. Modern furniture. Amanda's designer clothes spilling from a massive closet. Camera in the smoke detector. Another behind the TV. Benjamin stirred. I froze. He rolled over, settled, snored. I backed out. 7 cameras placed, 5 to go. My old study was now Benjamin's office. Camera behind the lamp, another in the bookshelf. 2 left. Then I heard a sound from below. The basement. I found the door off the kitchen, dead-bolted from the outside. The kind of lock you'd use on a shed, never an interior door. I picked it in 30 seconds, descended into darkness. The smell, mildew, unwashed linens, despair. My red lens flashlight swept the space. The entertainment room was gone. Industrial shelving held boxes in Amanda's handwriting. Shoes, handbags, winter clothes, storage for her things. In the corner stood a new door, cheap, hollow core with a padlock on the outside. I had it open in seconds, 10 by 10, concrete walls, no windows, a bare bulb, twin bed, with thin blankets, small table with a plastic cup, and Dorothy's reading glasses. On the wall above the bed, photographs me and Navy SEAL dress uniform. Our wedding day. Benjamin as a child, gap-toothed and laughing. My purple heart from Romani. In this cell they'd locked her in. Dorothy had kept what mattered. Something cracked in my chest. This was where they kept my wife at night. This windowless concrete hole. And she'd brought photographs of the family we used to be. I placed cameras in the ceiling vent and behind the light fixture. 11 cameras. I went upstairs, locked the basement door exactly as I'd found it. Place the final camera in the foyer's glass bowl central location, wide angle. 3:15 a.m., time to leave. At the back door, I stopped. Footsteps above. I slipped out and over the wall in 30 seconds. Kept moving until I reached the beach, a quarter mile away. I pulled out the tablet, activated all feeds. 12 green lights, every camera live. I opened the basement feed, the empty cell thin bed photographs on concrete walls. My wife slept there right now while Benjamin and Amanda dreamed in silk sheets above her. The rage was white hot. I wanted to go back, drag Benjamin out, make him understand pain. But Raymond's words, anger makes mistakes. I needed evidence. 72 hours showing exactly what they did. Then Nancy would move. Then the law, then me. I sat on the sand as sky lightened. At 6:00 a.m., sound came through the basement audio. A lock-turning door opening. Dorothy's voice. I'm awake. I'm coming. Like a prisoner answering her guard. The feed showed her appear gray-haired, disheveled old nightgown, moving slowly and painfully out of frame. 30 seconds later, the deadbolt sliding home. They'd let her out, but locked the door behind her not to keep people out to remind her she could be put back in. I watched until full sunrise. 12 feeds. 12 witnesses that would never blink or forget. At 7:00 a.m., Dorothy appeared in the kitchen still in that nightgown. She started coffee expensive machine I didn't recognize. Not for herself, for them. She stood at the counter, shoulders bent, waiting for it to brew, waiting to serve the people who'd locked her in a basement cell. I looked at the tablet screen at my wife, reduced to this at the green lights that would record every moment of the next 72 hours at the evidence that would bury my son. The sun rose over Charleston. Joggers appeared on the beach. The world woke up to a normal Sunday morning, but nothing about this was normal. I had 12 cameras recording 72 hours ahead. And somewhere in that waterfront mansion, Dorothy was pouring coffee for her captors with hands that had once worn my wedding ring like a promise. A promise I'd kept by sending money while she suffered. A promise I'd broken by staying away too long. I closed the tablet and stood. I needed rest. Needed to prepare for what came next. Because in 72 hours, when I had everything documented, when Nancy filed her emergency petition, when the police came with warrants, Benjamin would learn what happened when you touched what belonged to me. Not my house, not my money, my wife, my Dorothy, and I was going to take her back. I heard the lock turn upstairs. They were locking her in. I forced myself to breathe. The mission wasn't complete. Now I had to watch, to document, to wait for the perfect moment to strike. I rented a motel room 3 miles away. Cash payment, fake name corner unit. The kind of place that didn't ask questions. Inside, I set up the tablet and watched my home through 12 angles. Dorothy appeared in the kitchen at 6:17 a.m., still in that nightgown, moving like every step hurt. She filled the coffee maker, opened the refrigerator. I leaned closer, nearly empty. Milk, eggs, wilted vegetables, discount lunch meat. Nothing like the abundance Dorothy used to keep. She made scrambled eggs for 3 toast fresh coffee. Set everything out with careful precision, then poured herself water and stood by the sink waiting. At 7:40, Amanda appeared, white silk robe, perfect hair. She surveyed the breakfast without acknowledging Dorothy. Coffee's cold. Dorothy moved immediately. I'm sorry, I'll just get it done. I watched Dorothy dump perfectly good coffee and start over with shaking hands. Benjamin entered at 7:50 in golf clothes. Took a plate, sat scrolling his phone. Never looked at his mother. Amanda joined him. They ate while Dorothy stood by the sink, water untouched. Mom, Benjamin said, not looking up. We need the house clean today, people coming tonight. Yes, Dorothy said quietly. And do something about your appearance. You look terrible. My hands curled into fists. At 8:15, Amanda set her cup down hard. The sound made Dorothy flinch. This is disgusting, Amanda said, gesturing at the eggs. What did you put in this just eggs and butter? It tastes like garbage. Amanda dumped her entire plate in the sink. Make something else. Amanda, I don't think Dorothy started. I don't pay you to think. The words hung there. Dorothy physically shrunk. You don't pay me at all, Dorothy whispered. Amanda's head snapped around. What did you say? Nothing, I'm sorry. I'll make more eggs. Benjamin looked up. Mom, just do what she asks. I had to walk away from the screen before I put my fist through it. When I came back, Dorothy was alone, washing dishes, shoulders, shaking, crying while she cleaned their breakfast. 2:00 p.m. Dorothy vacuumed the living room. Amanda sat on the couch, feet up, not moving. You missed a spot, Amanda said, pointing. Dorothy went back over it. Still there 4 times. Dorothy vacuumed the same spot 4 times before Amanda called it acceptable. I switched to audio. Amanda on the phone. Yeah, the house is great. Got it for nothing. Richard's life insurance. $15 million. His mother lives in the basement. Costs us like $40 a week to feed her. No, she doesn't complain. She knows what happens. $40 a week, less than $6 a day for my wife. 7:00 p.m. Dorothy had prepared chicken and vegetables set plates at the dining table. Benjamin and Amanda came in dressed for going out. We're eating out, Amanda said. Put that away. Dorothy's face fell. I already made, I don't care. Put it in containers. You can eat it. They left. Dorothy sat alone at that table with a small portion on a chipped plate, ate mechanically. No enjoyment, just fuel. 9:30. Benjamin and Amanda returned drunk, laughing. Amanda knocked over a wine bottle, red, spreading across white marble. Mom, Benjamin shouted, Get in here! Dorothy appeared within seconds. That practiced speed. Clean this up, Amanda said. But now. Dorothy knelt painfully and started wiping with paper towels. That's Italian linen, Amanda said. $800, you ruined it. I didn't. Dorothy looked up. I didn't spill it. Are you saying I did the air changed? Dorothy recognized her mistake. No, I just meant you're blaming me. Amanda's voice turned ice. No dinner for you tomorrow. Maybe that'll teach you. Dorothy's face went white. Please, all basement now. I watched Dorothy stand slowly walk toward the basement door. Benjamin followed with his keys, unlocked it. Dorothy descended. Benjamin locked it behind her. p.m. I switched to the basement camera. Dorothy sat on the thin bed in her day clothes. Didn't change. Just stared at the photographs on the wall. 10:15. She started crying. Quiet, practiced crying that had learned to stay silent. 47 minutes. Then she lay down, pulled the thin blanket over herself, and stared at the ceiling until sleep took her. I sat in that motel room, cataloging every moment, every cruelty, every time my son enabled his wife's torture. My phone buzzed at midnight. Victor got something big. Financial records just came through. Richard, this is bigger than we thought. Tell me. Benjamin doesn't have any money. Everything insurance Dorothy's accounts. It's all in Amanda's name. He has no access. She gives him an allowance. How much? $500 a month? The same Dorothy got for food. There's more. Shell companies, offshore accounts. Amanda's been moving money since before they married. This was planned. And Richard Benjamin has therapy records, psychiatrist notes, anxiety, depression, history of manipulation and emotional abuse from Amanda. Yeah. 6 months of sessions. He talks about feeling trapped, controlled, threatened. I stared at the basement feed. Dorothy asleep on that thin mattress. Benjamin locked in his own way. Dorothy locked literally both prisoners. But Benjamin had chosen his cell, had opened the door and invited the monster in. Had stood by while she destroyed his mother. Victim or not, he'd made choices. And choices had consequences. Send me everything, I said. I hung up and looked at the 12 feeds glowing in the darkness. At Dorothy's basement cell, at Benjamin and Amanda's silk sheets, at the empty kitchen, where tomorrow morning Dorothy would wake and start it all over again unless I stopped it. 72 hours. Nancy needed 72 hours of documentation. I had 24 down 48 to go. Victor called, "Got something big." What I was about to learn would make me realize Benjamin wasn't the mastermind. He was another kind of villain, the enabler. Victor's encrypted files arrived at 1 a.m. 3 attachments, each password protected. I opened them in the motel room's dim light. The first file loaded, and I understood why Victor had called it big. Insurance payout $15,000. Zurzook account structure, primary account, Amanda Brown Coleman, sole owner, authorized users none. Benjamin Coleman, no access. Every dollar from my life insurance sat in accounts Benjamin couldn't touch. Amanda had structured it before filing the death claim, prepared, calculated, predatory. The money trail showed systematic transfers, $5,000, $1,000. Gold Bar's Las Vegas private vault. Access Amanda Coleman only. Fingerprint and retinal scan required. $3,000, $1,000. Liquid investments. All Amanda's name. $4,000, $1,000 spent. Victor had itemized it. Designer clothes, $847,000 jewelry. $623,000. Mercedes S-Class, $10,000. Talent or spa treatments, hotels, restaurants, $200, $1,000, $4 million in 18 months. While Dorothy ate on $6 a day at the bottom monthly allowance. Benjamin Coleman, $500, $500. Dorothy's weekly food budget. I opened the second file, financial control structure. Victor had mapped it completely. Every credit card, Amanda's name, every bank account, every investment. Benjamin appeared nowhere except authorized user on a single visa with a $500 monthly limit. The documentation showed gradual implementation. Month 1, joint accounts opened. Month 3, Amanda added as primary. Month 6, Benjamin's individual accounts closed. Month 9, all assets transferred to Amanda's sole control. Month 12, Benjamin's cards canceled allowance system implemented therapy records were attached. Psychiatrist's notes, patient reports feeling controlled by spouse. Cannot make purchases without permission. Describes anxiety around financial discussions. Patient disclosed spouse monitors his location. Has threatened to destroy him if he disobeys. Classic coercive control. Patient attempted to access joint account. Spouse changed passwords without informing him. Patient cried during session. I sat back. Benjamin was a prisoner too. Different cell, same warden, but he'd locked his mother in an actual cell. The third file changed everything. Cryptocurrency assets. Victor had found my old Bitcoin wallet I'd bought $20,000 worth in 2012. Stored the codes offshore, mentioned it to Dorothy once in passing. Current value $125,000, $125 million, and neither Amanda nor Benjamin knew it existed. Not in the guardianship disclosure. Not in the insurance claim. Not in any of Amanda's documentation. They'd stolen $15 million and thought they'd won. They had no idea. I pulled up Dorothy's old email, the one only she and I knew. The Bitcoin information was there exactly where I'd told her to keep it. Amanda had never found it because she'd never looked beyond the obvious. My phone rang. "Victor, you saw the crypto." "Yeah, that changes things. Amanda thought she got everything. She's going to be in prison." "Won't matter. There's something else." Victor's voice changed. I found Amanda's history. 3 previous relationships, all wealthy men. Same pattern every time. Marriage, financial control, isolation. Then the men either died or ended up bankrupt and broken. How many victims? 4 before Benjamin. First died in suspicious car accident, insurance paid out. Second committed suicide. Third and fourth lived but lost everything through divorces. They were too broken to fight. And Benjamin is number 5. Yes, and Richard. She researched your entire family before she met Benjamin. I found emails with a private investigator from 18 months ago. She engineered this. My hands tightened. She hunted him. Found his failures, his vulnerabilities. His wealthy father with dangerous work. She targeted Benjamin specifically. I thought about the surveillance feeds. Benjamin flinching at Amanda's sharp voice, standing by while she tortured his mother. The therapy records show he tried to stop her once. Victor said 4 months ago threatened to go to police about Dorothy. Amanda said she'd frame him for elder abuse, testify against him, had forged texts and emails ready. He backed down, so he chose his safety over his mother's. Yes. I stared at Dorothy's basement cell on the feed. That thin blanket, those photographs. Benjamin was Amanda's victim, but Dorothy was Benjamin's victim. The predator had found the perfect accomplice, weak enough to control, guilty enough to implicate, desperate enough to stay. Send me everything I said. Financial records. Amanda's history, therapy, notes, Bitcoin documentation. What are you going to do, end this? I hung up and pulled up the Bitcoin wallet. $125 million. Money they didn't know existed. Money that would secure Dorothy's future. Money that proved Amanda hadn't won. She'd stolen $15 million and thought she was untouchable. She had no idea what was coming. I looked at the 3 files on my screen. Evidence of Amanda's predation, Benjamin's cowardice, Dorothy's suffering. Tomorrow I document more surveillance, but tonight I understood the complete picture. Amanda was the predator. Benjamin was prey, but prey could still be guilty. Tomorrow I'd document the manipulation. Tomorrow I'd show exactly how a monster and a coward destroyed my wife. Day 3 of surveillance started at 3:00 a.m. And what I saw changed everything. The basement camera's motion sensor triggered. I grabbed the tablet. Benjamin stood outside Dorothy's door in the dark. Alone, sweatpants, t-shirt, holding something wrapped in a kitchen towel. He knocked softly. Mom, you awake, Benjamin? I brought food. There's a window on the side, and I'll pass it through. I switched cameras. Benjamin crouched by the narrow ground-level window, sliding it open, passing through the bundle. Dorothy's hands took it. Thank you, Benjamin. Please. I can't. His voice cracked. I'm sorry, she's destroying you too. We could go to the police. She'd destroy me, Mom. She has texts I never sent. Emails in my name. Evidence she's been building for months. If I leave, I go to prison, Dorothy cried. This isn't living for either of us, I know. His hand pressed the concrete wall. I'm sorry. I was weak, and I let her do this. And I don't know how to stop it. Then help me. Unlock the door. She tracks my phone, knows where I am every second. He stood. I have to go. He closed the window and left. Dorothy unwrapped the towel, bread, cheese, and apple. She ate slowly, crying. My son sneaking food to his mother like a prisoner of war. At 7:00 a.m., the pattern continued. Benjamin came downstairs. Dorothy already making breakfast. He poured coffee, wouldn't meet her eyes. Amanda appeared. Perfect makeup workout clothes. Good morning, baby? She kissed his cheek. Sleep well. Yeah, you were restless. I heard you get up around 3. Benjamin's hands tightened. Bathroom. Couldn't sleep. Amanda studied him, smiled. Must have been the wine. She turned to Dorothy. Coffee's cold again, incompetent, or lazy. Dorothy dumped the pot, started over. Benjamin flinched. After breakfast, Amanda cornered Benjamin in his office. We need to talk about your mother. What about her? She's expensive. Food utilities. I think we should look into facilities. Facilities, nursing homes, state-run free if she has no assets. Amanda sat on his desk, which she doesn't. We could have the house to ourselves. She's not incompetent. We have a doctor's statement guardianship. We can put her anywhere. Her voice dropped. Unless you have a problem. Benjamin stared at his screen. No problem. Good boy. She kissed his forehead like a child. I knew you'd understand. After she left, Benjamin put his head in his hands, shoulders shaking silent. Afternoon by the pool, Dorothy cleaning inside, visible through windows. Your father abandoned you, Amanda said casual. You know that, right? He had to work. He chose to work. Chose contracts over being here, over raising you. Amanda turned to Benjamin. He sent money because it was easier than being a father. That's not love. That's guilt payments. He did his best. His best was leaving for months, making your mother raise you alone. And now she acts like he's a hero. She gestured toward Dorothy, vacuuming, kept his pictures, his medals. Worships a man who abandoned her. She loves him. She's delusional. So was he, thinking money would be enough. Amanda's hand found Benjamin's. You don't owe him anything. Not loyalty, not guilt, nothing. Benjamin looked at his mother through the window. His face hardened. Rewriting history, making me the villain, making Benjamin's guilt into justified anger. Textbook manipulation. Evening, bedroom, Benjamin changing for dinner. Amanda watching from the closet. I saw you looking at your mother today. What in the kitchen? Like you felt sorry for her. Don't lie. Amanda pulled out her phone, started typing. What are you doing texting Detective Morrison? He gave us his card with the death certificate. I'm sure he'd be interested in the elder abuse at 2847 Harbor View Drive. Stop. Benjamin crossed the room. Please, are you planning something? No, I swear, I have emails you wrote about isolating your mother, controlling her money, how you said she's a burden, and I wish she'd die. I never wrote. I wrote them in your name. Accounts you didn't know existed, and texts to match. An entire narrative of you as abuser, me as victim, too afraid to come forward. She looked up. If you leave, if you try to save her, I destroy you. You go to prison. She goes to state care. I keep everything. Benjamin shook. Do you understand? Yes. Say it. I understand. She put the phone away, smiled, wrapped her arms around his neck. I love you, baby. I'm protecting us. Protecting what we built. You know that, yeah? She kissed him, long, possessive. Let's go to dinner. That steakhouse downtown. My treat. She smiled. Well, your dad's treat, technically. They left? Dorothy came upstairs from the basement where she'd been locked, cleaned their clothes, made their bed, tidied their lives. I sat with 3 days of footage and understood the manipulation, the threats, the manufactured evidence, the cycle keeping Benjamin trapped and complicit, love bombing after threats, making him question reality. Maybe she wasn't that bad. Maybe he wasn't that trapped. But understanding didn't equal forgiveness. Benjamin was a victim, but Dorothy was his victim too. He'd chosen his survival over his mother's freedom. Every day he locked that door. Every night he slept in silk sheets while she lay on concrete. Victim and villain both at once. Tomorrow I'd call Nancy, show her everything. Financial control therapy records 3 days of surveillance showing the complete picture, the cycle, the trap, the choice Benjamin made every single day. Nancy needed to see this. The DA needed to see this. A jury needed to see this. And then they'd understand what I understood. Benjamin was both victim and villain. Nancy needed to see this. Tomorrow I'd show her everything. 72 hours of footage. Enough evidence to bury them both. I called Nancy at 8:00 a.m. on day 4. Tell me you have it, she said. All of it. Financial records, surveillance footage, therapy notes, everything. How bad? Worse than we thought. Amanda's a serial predator. Benjamin's her victim, and Dorothy's abuser. It's complicated. Nancy was quiet for a moment. Can you be at my office in an hour? We need to move fast. The longer Dorothy stays in that house, the more danger she's in. I'm already on my way. At NY's office, I showed her everything: the basement cell, Dorothy's treatment, Amanda's manipulation, Benjamin's 3:00 a.m. food delivery, the threats, the cycle. Nancy watched without expression until the end. Then she closed her laptop. We have enough for criminal charges: elder abuse, financial exploitation, fraud, false death certificate. But here's the problem. If we just show up with police, Amanda will lawyer up immediately. She'll claim Benjamin did everything. She'll walk. So what do? We make her confess on record with witnesses. That's when the plan formed. Nancy leaned forward. You need to get back in that house, not as Richard. They think you're dead, as someone else, someone they'd invite in, a buyer. I said, exactly. They're cash poor despite the assets. Everything's locked up or already spent. If someone offered them enough money for a quick sale, they'd jump at it. I pulled out my phone and called Raymond. I need a complete identity package. Website business cards, references, background. Someone wealthy enough to make a $13 million cash offer. Bulletproof. How fast? 4 hours. Raymond laughed. Make it 6. Who are you? Robert Halverson, Seattle real estate developer. Made my money in tech. Now I flip luxury properties. I'll have it ready by 3:00 p.m. Next call, Victor. I need you at the Charleston police station in 2 hours. Bring everything, all the evidence, all the documentation. NY is going to file an emergency petition for guardianship removal and a search warrant. You're the expert witness on it. Nancy was already typing on her laptop. I'll have the paperwork ready by noon. Emergency hearing this afternoon, and Judge Morrison owes me a favor. If he grants the warrant, we can move tomorrow. Tomorrow I stood. Yeah. Dorothy's locked in a basement cell right now. And if we move wrong, Amanda walks, and Dorothy ends up in state care with Benjamin, still as her guardian. We do this right, Richard. One shot, we don't get another. She was right. I sat back down. Here's how it plays. Nancy said, today I file the emergency petition. Judge grants the warrant. Tonight you become Robert Halverson. Tomorrow noon, you tour the house as a potential buyer. You get them to show you everything, including the basement. You're wearing a wire. Whatever they say, we record. 2 p.m., police execute the warrant. We catch them in the act with you as a witness. They'll recognize me. Will they? Nancy pulled up a photo on her screen. My military ID from 15 years ago, then a recent photo from my contractor work. You've aged, gained weight in the face scars, and you'll be in a suit, clean-shaven and different hair. Benjamin hasn't seen you in 6 months. Amanda's never met you in person, just photos. She was right, I'd changed. Hard years did that. What about my voice? Change it. You were special operations. You know how to alter your speech patterns, your accent. Be from Seattle. Tech bro who got lucky. Nothing like a military contractor. I nodded. It could work. Raymond called at 2:30. Package is ready. You're Robert Halverson, age 48. Seattle-based made your money selling a software startup in 2019. Now you invest in luxury real estate, websites live, LinkedIn profiles, populated references are people who owe me favors. Someone calls to verify, they'll confirm every detail. At 3:00 p.m., I picked up the materials. Business cards, corporate documents, a tablet loaded with investment portfolios, all fake but perfect. I went back to the motel and practiced voice first. I recorded myself, played it back, adjusted, dropped. The clipped military cadence added a slight West Coast draw. Tech B bro enthusiasm. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly the kind of property I'm looking for. Different, not me. I shaved the beard I'd grown during the mission, styled my hair differently, slicked back corporate, put on the suit. Raymond had included expensive, tailored nothing, like anything I'd ever worn. Looked in the mirror. Robert Halverson looked back. A man Benjamin wouldn't recognize as his father. At 5:00 p.m., I made the call. Used a spoofed Seattle number, Benjamin's cell phone. He answered on the third ring. Hello? Is this Benjamin Coleman, owner of the property at 2847 Harborview Drive? Oh, yes. Who's this Habbo? Robert Halverson. Halverson Development Group out of Seattle. I'm in Charleston looking at investment properties. Your place came up in my search. Any chance it's for sale? Silence. Then it's not listed. I know. That's why I'm calling. I pay cash, close fast. No contingencies. I'm talking $13 million if the property checks out. Significantly above market. I'm only in town until tomorrow. Any chance I could see it? I heard muffled conversation. Benjamin covering the phone talking to Amanda. He came back. Tomorrow. What time? Noon work for you? Yeah. Noon's good. Perfect. I'll need to see everything. Full house tour, basement, attic, all of it. I'm very thorough. Of course. We'll be ready. See you tomorrow, Mr. Coleman. I hung up and immediately called Nancy. It's done. I'm in at noon tomorrow. Police will be there at 2 p.m. That gives you 2 hours to get them talking on record. I'll have the wire delivered to your motel in an hour. Raymond called at 6. Cops are briefed. Nancy pulled some strings. Detective Sarah Morrison is lead. She's good. Careful. Won't move until you give the signal. Victor called at 7. Judge signed everything. Warrant, emergency guardianship, transfer, arrest, authorization. You're official. I sat in that motel room as the sun set over Charleston. Tomorrow at noon, I'd walk back into my house as a stranger. Tomorrow at 2 p.m. Police would execute the warrant. Tomorrow, Dorothy would be free. I pulled up the surveillance feed one last time. Dorothy in her basement cell, lying on that thin mattress, staring at my photograph on the wall. 12 hours until execution. Dorothy locked in the basement, unaware her husband was coming. This time, I wasn't asking permission. I arrived at 2847 Harborview Drive at 11:55 a.m. in a rented Mercedes S-Class, black suit, Italian leather shoes, briefcase that cost more than most people's monthly rent. Everything about Robert Halverson screamed money. I checked myself in the rearview mirror one last time. Slicked hair, clean-shaven wire taped to my chest, beneath the dress shirt, transmitting everything to Detective Morrison's team parked 3 blocks away. Not Richard Coleman. Not anymore. I grabbed the briefcase and walked to the front door. Benjamin answered on the first knock. He looked nervous. Good suit, but wrinkled hair, styled but sweating already. His eyes scanned my face and found nothing familiar. Mr. Halverson, he said. Robert, please. I shook his hand. Firm grip. West Coast smile. Thanks for seeing me on short notice. Beautiful property from the street. Thank you. Come in. Benjamin stepped aside. The entryway looked different in person than through cameras. Colder. The marble floors, the modern chandelier, all Amanda's taste, erasing Dorothy's warmth. This is my wife, Amanda. Benjamin gestured. Amanda appeared from the living room in a white dress that probably cost $3,000. She dressed for this predator smelling money. Mr. Halverson. She extended her hand. Such a pleasure. I took it. Her grip was calculated. Firm enough to seem confident, soft enough to seem feminine. Every movement practiced. The pleasure's mine. You have a stunning home. We like it. Amanda's smile didn't reach her eyes. Can I get you anything? Coffee, water? I'm fine. Eager to see the property if you don't mind. I have a flight back to Seattle at 4. Of course. Amanda touched Benjamin's arm. Why don't you give Mr. Halverson the tour? I'll pull together the property documents. We started upstairs. Benjamin showed me the master bedroom, the guest rooms, bathrooms. I made appropriate comments, asked about square footage, took notes on my tablet like a serious buyer would. All the while, the wire recorded everything. How long have you owned the property? I asked as we descended back to the main floor. 3 years, Benjamin said. It was my father's originally. He passed away. The lie came so easily. I kept my expression neutral. I'm sorry for your loss. Thank you. In the kitchen, Amanda had documents spread on the counter, deed, tax records, inspection reports, all showing Benjamin as owner, all based on fraud. As you can see, everything's in order. Amanda said, the house is free and clear. No mortgage. We can close as fast as you'd like. I pulled a checkbook from my briefcase. Raymond's work looks real, drawn on a Seattle bank account that existed only on paper. I'd like to make an earnest money deposit. $1 million. Show good faith. Amanda's eyes lit up. That's very generous. I move fast when I see something I want. I wrote out the check, made it payable to Benjamin Coleman, handed it over. Benjamin took it with shaking hands. This is thank you. Don't thank me yet. I still need to see everything, starting with the basement. I consulted my tablet. Property records show 1,500 square feet below grade. That's significant storage capacity. Benjamin and Amanda exchanged a glance, quick, but I saw it. The basement's mostly empty, Amanda said. Just storage. Perfect. My art collection needs climate-controlled space. Mind if I take a look? Another glance. Longer this time. Of course, Benjamin said finally. Follow me. He led me to the basement door off the kitchen. I saw him pull keys from his pocket. Too many keys for someone who supposedly lived here comfortably. He unlocked the deadbolt. The sound echoed in the kitchen. A deadbolt on an interior door. Security, Amanda said quickly from behind us. The previous owner was paranoid. Understandable in this neighborhood, I said smoothly. High V-value properties attract attention. We descended into the basement. The smell hit me immediately. Mildew must confinement. I kept my expression professional while my hands clenched in my pockets. The main space was exactly as I'd seen through cameras. Industrial shelving. Boxes labeled in Amanda's handwriting. Shoes, handbags, winter clothes. Plenty of space, I said. What's behind that wall? I pointed to the partial wall that hid Dorothy's door. Just a utility room, Benjamin said too quickly. Furnace, water heater. Mind if I see? I need to know the HVAC setup for my insurance. Benjamin froze. I watched the calculation happen in his eyes. Say no and risk the sale, or show me and risk everything else. Amanda appeared at the bottom of the stairs. Benjamin, is there a problem? Mr. Halverson wants to see the utility room. It's really not necessary, Amanda started. I'm thorough, I said, pulling out my tablet. My insurance company requires documentation of all mechanical systems. It'll just take a minute. Silence. I could see them both thinking, weighing options. Finally, Benjamin moved toward the door, that cheap hollow core with the padlock. He pulled out his keys again. My heart hammered against the wire taped to my chest. 2 minutes. I needed 2 minutes before Detective Morrison moved. 2 minutes to get Dorothy visible. Get them talking, get it all on record. Benjamin's hand shook as he reached for the padlock. Everything okay? I asked. Fine. Just the key sticks sometimes. The padlock clicked open. Benjamin pushed the door. The hinges creaked, that sound I'd heard through surveillance. The sound that had haunted me for 3 days. The door swung inward, revealing the concrete cell behind it. And there, sitting on that thin mattress, still in her nightgown at noon, was Dorothy. She looked up, saw Benjamin, saw Amanda behind me on the stairs, saw me, a stranger in an expensive suit. Our eyes met for 1 second. 1 eternal second. I saw the recognition flicker. Saw her eyes widen, saw her hand come up to her mouth. Then she caught herself, looked down, started to shake. I can explain, Benjamin said behind me. Benjamin unlocked Dorothy's door. The hinges creaked, and everything I'd been holding back for 4 days was about to explode. I stepped into the cell. Dorothy sat on the thin mattress exactly as I'd seen through cameras, but in person it was worse. Her hair completely gray, thin, unwashed face, gaunt cheekbones, sharp beneath papery skin. The nightgown hung on a frame that had lost 30 low, but her eyes were still Dorothy's, still aware, still fighting behind me. Benjamin stammered. Mr. Halverson. I can explain this isn't. I reached up and removed my glasses, set them on the table. Then I pulled off the hairpiece, dropped it. I wiped the makeup from my face with my hand. It smeared across my palm. My voice when I spoke dropped the West Coast draw, returned to 30 years military cadence. Hello, Dorothy. She stood slowly, painfully. One hand reached toward me, shaking. Richard. Yes. Richard. Her voice broke. Is it really I'm here? I'm getting you out. Dorothy collapsed, legs giving out. I caught her, pulled her against my chest. She weighed nothing. You're alive. She sobbed. They said they told me. I know. I'm here now. I've got you. Behind us, Benjamin made a strangled sound. Dad? I looked over Dorothy's head. Benjamin stood in the doorway, white as paper, mouth open. Hello, Benjamin. You're dead. You died. We got the certificate, the insurance. He stopped. Understanding flooded his face. Oh, God. Yes. Oh, God. Amanda's voice cut from the stairs. Benjamin, what's happening? Benjamin couldn't speak, just shook. I eased Dorothy back onto the mattress, keeping one hand on her shoulder. She clutched my arm. Then I straightened, let Benjamin see his father clearly. You declared me dead, I said quietly. Filed a false certificate, claimed 15 million, stole your mother's money, had her declared incompetent on fraud, and then you locked her in this cell. Dad, I didn't. It wasn't. She made me. You had choices, Benjamin. Every single day, Amanda appeared at the stairs. White dress, predator smile. Benjamin. What she saw me saw Dorothy saw the hairpiece and glasses on the table. Her smile vanished, something cold sliding into place. Who the hell are you, Richard Coleman, the dead husband? Amanda froze, processing, then turned to Benjamin. You said he was dead. He was supposed to be you, idiot. Ice in her voice. She looked at me. This is fake. Some scam. Benjamin called the police. I smiled. The police are already coming. I pointed at the ceiling vent. Smile for the camera. You too, Benjamin. Benjamin's head snapped up. Aura 12 of them throughout the house, recording everything for 72 hours. Every word, every abuse. I pulled out my phone, showed them the feeds, all 12 angles live. I've been watching you. Watched you torture my wife. Lock her here every night. Spend my insurance money while she ate on $6 a day. Amanda went white, then red. That's illegal. In South Carolina, one-party consent. I consent. I held up the phone. And this wire I'm wearing, the police have been listening since I walked in. Benjamin choked. Wire. Dad, please. And the 15 million you thought you got gone spent. But I have another asset. Bitcoin from 2012. Current value 125 million. You'll never see it, Dorothy will. Amanda's mask cracked. Fury replacing calculation. You son of a... My mother raised me better than this. Dorothy's hand tightened on my arm. Richard? How long? 4 days. I came home and saw you serving their party. I should have stopped it then. You were gathering evidence. Yes. Then you did right. Dorothy stood steadier till you did what needed to be done. Upstairs sirens. Amanda heard it. Her head snapped toward the stairs. Benjamin, we need to leave now. Where do you think you're going? You have nothing. Recordings that could be edited. Cameras planted illegally. I have financial records showing embezzlement. Shell companies, offshore accounts. And Amanda, I have your history. 4 previous victims, 3 states, multiple aliases. The police are very interested. The sirens got louder. Benjamin Amanda grabbed his arm. Tell them he's lying. Tell them he's the abuser. No. Benjamin pulled away, looked at Dorothy. Mom, I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't lock the basement door. I said I know. Benjamin was crying. I was weak, and she controlled me, and I let her hurt you. He looked at me. I'm going to prison, aren't I? Yes. Good. Benjamin sank against the doorframe. Good. I deserve it. The sirens were outside, car doors, footsteps. Nancy Griffin, Charleston PD. We have a warrant? Basement, I shouted. 3 subjects, 1 victim. Footsteps thundered down. Detective Sarah Morrison appeared first. 40-some sharp eyes, hand on weapon. 3 officers behind her, Richard Coleman, yes, my wife Dorothy victim, Benjamin Coleman, and Amanda Coleman suspects. Morrison took in the scene. The cell, Dorothy, me, Benjamin crying. Amanda calculating to Amanda Coleman, Benjamin Coleman. You're under arrest for elder abuse, financial exploitation fraud, and filing a false death certificate. She nodded to officers. Cuff them. An officer moved toward Amanda. She didn't resist, but her eyes stayed on me. Cold, hateful. This isn't over, she said. Yes, I said. It is. They cuffed them both. Raids while Benjamin sobbed and Amanda stayed silent. Nancy appeared at the top. Dorothy, we're calling an ambulance. I'm fine, Dorothy said, voice shaking. You're not, I said gently, but you will be. As officers led them upstairs, Benjamin looked back. Dad, I really am sorry. I said nothing. Just held Dorothy while my son was taken away. Sirens. NY's timing was perfect. 2 minutes until the police arrived. The paramedics arrived 3 minutes after the police. I stood in that basement cell, arm around Dorothy, watching officers process the scene. Crime scene texts photographed everything, the thin mattress photographs taped to concrete the padlock. Nancy descended the stairs, tablet in hand. She looked at Dorothy and her expression softened. Mrs. Coleman, I'm Nancy Griffin. I'm an attorney here to help you. Dorothy nodded but didn't let go of my arm. We're taking you to Charleston Medical Center. The paramedics need to check you over. I'm fine, Dorothy said weakly. You're not, I said gently. Let them help. Upstairs, Amanda's voice cut sharp. I want my lawyer. This is illegal detention, ma'am. You've been read your rights, an officer responded. Benjamin's voice was different, broken. I don't need a lawyer. I did it, all of it. Morrison appeared at the door. Mr. Coleman, the ambulance is here. Your wife needs medical attention. I helped Dorothy stand. She leaned heavily as we moved toward the stairs. Outside, 2 patrol cars sat in the driveway, lights flashing. Neighbors gathered, the same people from that pool party 4 days ago. Now they watched Dorothy emerge in her nightgown, supported by a stranger. Benjamin sat in one patrol car, head in hands, Amanda in another, staring straight ahead, already strategizing. As we passed, Benjamin looked up through the window. Dad, please. I'm sorry. I stopped. Dorothy's hand tightened on my arm. You locked your mother in a basement, I said, every night for 6 months. You watched your wife torture her. You spent $15 million while she ate on $6 a day. You had 1,000 chances to stop it. She threatened me. I know. I heard every word, saw the texts, the manipulation. I looked at him. You were her victim, Benjamin. But you made Dorothy your victim to save yourself. That's a choice you'll live with. Benjamin's face crumpled. I deserve prison. Yes, I said. You do. I turned away, helped Dorothy toward the ambulance. Mr. Coleman Morrison called. We'll need those surveillance files. Nancy has access. 72 hours, 12 angles, plus financial records, and Amanda's criminal history. We'll need your statement tomorrow morning. I'll be there. The paramedics helped Dorothy into the ambulance. I climbed in after her. Blood pressure's low, a paramedic said. Dehydrated, malnourished? Ma'am, when's the last time you had a full meal? Dorothy looked at me. I don't remember. The paramedic's jaw tightened, starting an IV. Through the rear windows, I watched officers load Benjamin and Amanda into separate cars. Nancy stood on the driveway with Morrison showing her the evidence. Wait, Dorothy said suddenly. Richard, your house. It's not my house anymore. It's a crime scene. I took her hand. We'll get you somewhere safe. But where I have $125 million, they don't know about Bitcoin from 2012. They never found it. Dorothy's eyes widened. 125. They thought they won. They thought they had no idea. The paramedic inserted the IV. Dorothy winced but didn't cry out. She'd learned not to show pain. Mr. Coleman, are you her husband? Yes. She'll need extensive care. Medical evaluation, counseling, physical therapy. Malnutrition doesn't reverse overnight. She'll have whatever she needs. Dorothy squeezed my hand. You came back. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. They were careful when you called. You couldn't have known. The ambulance pulled away. Through the window, the waterfront mansion grew smaller. The house I'd bought Dorothy 15 years ago. The house that became her prison. I'd never set foot in it again. Dorothy shifted on the gurney foy trailing. Benjamin really is sorry. You know I know. Will you forgive him? I don't know. Will you? Dorothy was quiet. I forgave him the first time he brought me food through that window at 3 a.m. when he cried. She looked at me. But forgiveness doesn't mean trust. And it doesn't mean freedom from consequences. No, it doesn't. He's still going to prison. Yes. Good. The ambulance turned onto the highway. Charleston Medical Center was 15 minutes away. 15 minutes until doctors examined what 6 months of abuse had done. Dorothy's hand found mine. Held tight. Don't leave me, she whispered. Not again. I leaned close, pressed my forehead to hers. Never again. I promise. The ambulance siren wailed. Inside, Dorothy held my hand like I might disappear. Outside Charleston blurred past a city that had watched my wife suffer while I was halfway across the world believing she was safe. She wasn't safe, but she would be now. The paramedic checked her vitals again. Heart rate stabilizing. The fluids are helping. Dorothy's eyes were closing. Exhaustion or relief, I couldn't tell. Maybe both. Sleep, I said softly. I'll be here when you wake up. Promise. Promise. Her grip loosened slightly as sleep took her, but she didn't let go. Not completely. I sat in that ambulance holding my wife's hand, watching the IV drip life back into her. Behind us, Benjamin and Amanda were being processed into the system. Ahead of us, doctors waited to document every injury, every deprivation, every crime written on Dorothy's body. The evidence was overwhelming. The surveillance footage, the financial records, the basement cell, Dorothy's condition. They'd both go to prison. Amanda for decades, Benjamin for years. Justice would be served. But sitting there watching Dorothy sleep, I knew something else. Justice wasn't the same as healing. Punishment wasn't the same as recovery. The hard part was just beginning. The ambulance doors closed. Dorothy squeezed my hand. Don't leave me again. I wouldn't. Not ever. Charleston Medical Center admitted Dorothy at 2:30 p.m. By 3, she was in a private room with IV drip monitors, beeping doctors, running tests. I sat in the chair beside her bed and didn't leave. Michelle Turner arrived at €4.50's Kind Eyes badge, reading internal medicine. Mr. Coleman, I'm Dr. Turner. I've been Dorothy's physician for 3 years. You're the one who said she didn't have dementia. Correct. When Dr. Ward's diagnosis came through, I tried to contest it, submitted my own evaluation showing Dorothy was competent. The court rejected it, said Ward's was more recent. Ward was paid to lie, I suspected. She looked at Dorothy sleeping peacefully. I'm glad you found out. How bad is it? Dr. Turner opened the chart. Severe dehydration treatable. Malnutrition. She's lost 32 lbs in 6 months. Vitamin deficiencies across the board. Arthritis worsened significantly. Psychologically, the trauma is evident. That'll take longer. Will she recover? Physically, yes. With nutrition rest therapy. Psychologically, she met my eyes. That depends. Support system counseling time. You being here helps. I'm not leaving. Good. We'll keep her 3 days minimum. Full panel stabilization. Our psychiatric team will do proper evaluation, not whatever Ward fabricated. After Dr. Turner left, Nancy arrived with a folder. How is she a stable observation for 3 days? I filed emergency motions an hour ago. Judge Morrison signed everything. Guardianship revoked immediately, restraining order in place. Neither Benjamin nor Amanda can contact Dorothy. All assets frozen. What about the house crime scene once released legally Dorothy's again? We'll address the deed fraud. She won't want it back. Nancy looked at me. I wouldn't either. Dorothy stirred. Richard, right here. I took her hand. She looked around hospital room monitors. Nancy, I'm really out. I'm safe. You're safe. Tears slid down her face. Real tears. Relief. Tears. Nancy stepped forward. Mrs. Coleman. I'm Nancy Griffin. Your attorney now if you'll have me. I've filed to remove Benjamin's guardianship and restore your legal rights. Thank you, Dorothy whispered. We'll need your statement when you're ready. No rush. Nancy left. For 2 days I stayed slept in the chair, watched Dorothy slowly come back to life. Doctors ran tests, psychiatrist evaluations, physical therapy assessments. Each documented the abuse. On day 2, Dorothy talked. It started slowly, she said, staring at the ceiling. After you left for that long contract, Benjamin and Amanda moved in to keep me company. They said, I thought it was sweet. When did it change 3 months in little things? Amanda commenting on what I ate, what I wore, suggesting I was forgetting things, but she'd move my keys. My phone then acted concerned when I couldn't find them. Gaslighting. Not. Then Benjamin came home with guardianship papers. Said my doctor recommended it. That I showed dementia signs. I tried to argue, but he had documents. Official letterhead. She wiped her eyes. Well, I thought maybe I was losing my mind. You weren't. I know now, but then they were convincing and you were gone. What about your friends? Amanda said they didn't want to see me, that I was embarrassing myself. She showed me fake texts, emails. I believed her, stopped reaching out. Isolation. When did they lock you in the basement? After the death certificate 6 months ago, they told me you died, showed me papers. Amanda said the insurance money would keep me comfortable. Dorothy looked at me. That night, Benjamin took me downstairs, said it was safer, that I might wander. You believed him. I was grieving. At first, they let me out during the day, but then it got shorter. An hour, 30 minutes just to cook clean, serve, then back down. Did they hit you? No. Just neglect, cruelty making me worthless. Amanda would say, you're lucky we even feed you. Benjamin would watch, sometimes cry, but never stopped her. He brought you food once through the window. Dorothy's eyes widened. You saw that I had cameras, 12 of them, watched everything for 3 days. Everything. Every meal. Every time they locked you down. Every moment. I touched her face. I'm sorry I didn't come sooner. You came when you could. My phone buzzed. Nancy, need to talk. Important. I stepped into the hallway and called Richard. We found Benjamin's journal in his car and texts between him and Amanda, going back 2 years. And Benjamin documented everything Amanda did to him, the threats, the control, the manufactured evidence. He wrote about wanting to save Dorothy, but being too afraid, and texts Amanda explicitly threatening him, saying she'd frame him if he didn't cooperate. So he's a victim who chose to victimize someone else to save himself. That's complicated. Legally or morally, both. Nancy paused. The DA will want to see this. It might affect Benjamin's sentence, not Amanda's. She's going down hard. But Benjamin, this changes things. What do you need your opinion? You're the victim's husband. The DA considers how Dorothy feels. If she wants mercy for Benjamin, it matters. I'll talk to her carefully. She's been through enough. I went back to Dorothy's room. She was eating applesauce slowly, like she'd forgotten how good food could taste. That was Nancy. They found Benjamin's journal and texts from Amanda. Dorothy set down the applesauce. What did they say? That Benjamin was terrified of her, that she threatened to frame him, that he wanted to save you but didn't know how? Dorothy was quiet. Does that change anything legally, maybe? The DA might offer a deal if he testifies against Amanda, and morally that's not for me to decide. You're the one he hurt. Dorothy looked at her hands. He's still my son. I know, and he still locked me in that basement. Yes. She closed her eyes. I don't know what I feel. Is that wrong? No, it's human. Day 3 in the hospital. Nancy arrived with Victor Lang and a banker's box full of files. Dorothy's resting, I said. Meeting them in the hallway. What did you find? Nancy set the box down. Everything. And it complicates things. Victor pulled out a leather-bound journal. Benjamin's found in his car. He's been documenting for 5 years. He opened it. Handwritten entries dated chronological. A map of someone's destruction. Year 1, I love Amanda. She's everything I wanted. Sometimes she gets frustrated with me, but she's trying to help me be better. Year 2. Amanda says I need to stop talking to Mom so much. Says I'm too dependent. Maybe she's right. Amanda knows what's best for us. Year 3. I tried to start a business. Amanda said it was stupid. She's probably right. I'm not good with money. She handles all our finances now. Year 4. I miss Mom. Wanted to visit, but Amanda said we had plans. We didn't. When I asked why she lied, she got angry. Said if I didn't trust her, maybe we shouldn't be married. I apologized. Year 4 later, Amanda showed me texts where Mom was talking badly about her. I confronted Mom. She denied it, but Amanda showed me proof. I don't know who to believe anymore. Year 5 after Richard's death, Amanda says we should use the insurance money to live the life we deserve. Part of me knows Dad didn't abandon us, but part of me is so angry at him for leaving. 6 months ago, Mom lives in the basement now. Amanda says it's for safety because of dementia, but Dr. Turner's report shows no dementia. Amanda says Dr. Turner's old-fashioned. I want to believe her. 5 months ago, I brought Mom food through the window. She cried, asked me to let her go. I wanted to, but Amanda has emails I don't remember writing. If I try to leave, she'll send everything to police. I'm trapped. 4 months ago, I tried to stop it, told Amanda we needed to let Mom go. She said, if you try to save her, I'll destroy you both. You'll go to prison. Your mother goes to state care. I keep everything. I believe her. I'm a coward. 1 month ago, I lock my mother in a basement every night. I watch my wife torture her. Sometimes I cry, but I never stop it. What kind of son am I? Dad would be ashamed of me. Last entry. Mom was looking at Dad's picture today. She still loves him. I don't deserve love like that. I closed the journal. My hands shook. Victor pulled out printed texts. Hundreds. Amanda to Benjamin. 2 years ago, your father abandoned you. He chose money over family. You owe him nothing. 8 months ago, if you leave me, I'll tell the police you abused me. I have evidence ready. You'll lose everything. 6 months ago, your mother is dead. Wait. The sooner she's gone, the better our lives will be. 4 months ago. Try to save her and I'll frame you. You'll go to prison. I'll testify against you. They'll believe me. You're weak. Nancy pulled out another file. Therapy records. Benjamin's been seeing Dr. Patricia Reeves for 18 months. Anxiety, depression, PTSD from domestic abuse. She read from notes. Patient reports feeling controlled by spouse. Cannot make decisions without permission. Panic attacks when spouse is angry. Patient says spouse has insurance evidence that would destroy him. Patient disclosed spouse monitors location via phone. controls all finances. Patient receives $500 monthly allowance. When asked if he feels safe, I don't know what safe feels like anymore. Patient attempted to access bank account. Spouse changed passwords without informing him. Patient broke down. I just wanted to buy my mom a birthday present. Victor spread financial documents. Amanda controlled everything, every account, every card. Benjamin had no independent access. The $500 monthly was deposited into an account Amanda monitored. She tracked every purchase. Classic financial abuse, Nancy said. But he still locked Dorothy in the basement, I said. Still stood by while Amanda tortured her. Yes, Nancy agreed. That's the complicated part. Benjamin is a victim of domestic abuse, but he's also a perpetrator of elder abuse. Both things are true. What does that mean legally? The DA has options. If Benjamin testifies against Amanda, provides every detail the DA might offer, reduced sentence. Amanda goes away for decades. Benjamin gets 5 to 8 years instead of 15 to 20. And if he doesn't cooperate, they both go away. Amanda longer, but Benjamin still gets significant time. What does Dorothy want? That's the question. Nancy looked toward Dorothy's room. In 48 hours arraignment, the DA presents charges. Dorothy's victim impact statement matters a lot. She hasn't decided. Can you blame her? Her son is both abuser and victim. There's no easy answer. Victor spoke. For what it's worth, Amanda's going down hard. 4 previous victims, 3 states. Pattern of predatory behavior, financial fraud, false death certificate, elder abuse. She's looking at 25 to 30 years minimum. Good. Benjamin's different, Nancy said carefully. Evidence shows manipulation threats control, but also choices. Terrible choices that hurt Dorothy. So what do? We tell Dorothy everything. Show her the journal, texts, therapy records. Let her decide what justice looks like. Nancy paused. Richard, justice isn't always black and white. Sometimes it's shades of gray we have to live with. I looked through the window. Dorothy was awake, staring at the ceiling, probably thinking about Benjamin, about her son who loved her and hurt her. The legal strategy shifted. Amanda maximum charges. Benjamin reduced if he cooperates in 48 hours arraignment, and Dorothy would have to decide forgiveness or punishment. Day 8. Charleston County Courthouse Courtroom 4B. I sat beside Dorothy in the gallery. Nancy Griffin 2 rows ahead at the prosecutor's table. Dorothy's hand trembled in mine, not from fear, but from something harder to name. She'd asked to be here, insisted actually, despite Dr. Turner's reservations. I need to see his face, she'd said that morning. I need to know it's real. The bailiff called the room to order. Judge Patricia Morrison entered mid-60s, steel-gray hair, a reputation for zero tolerance on elder abuse cases. Nancy had chosen well. The state of South Carolina versus Benjamin Robert Coleman and Amanda Brown Coleman, the clerk announced. The side door opened. Benjamin came first, hand-scuffed, wearing an orange jumpsuit that hung loose on his frame. He'd lost weight. His eyes scanned the room until they found Dorothy. His face crumpled. "Mom," he mouthed. Dorothy looked away. Amanda followed 30 seconds later. Same jumpsuit, same cuffs, but her posture was different. Chin high, shoulders back, eyes cold and flat. She didn't search the gallery, didn't acknowledge anyone, just stared straight ahead at Judge Morrison with something close to contempt. "Mr. Coleman?" Judge Morrison said, "How do you plead to the charges of elder abuse, financial exploitation, fraud, false documentation, and coercive control? Benjamin's attorney, a public defender named Marcus Williams, no relation to Amanda, stood. Your Honor, my client wishes to enter a plea of guilty on all counts. He also wishes to cooperate fully with the state's case against Ms. Amanda Coleman." A ripple moved through the courtroom. Reporters in the back row leaned forward. Judge Morrison's expression didn't change. Mr. Coleman, do you understand that by pleading guilty, you waive your right to trial and accept full responsibility for these crimes? Yes, Your Honor. Benjamin's voice cracked. I want to say I'm sorry to my mother, to my father. I know it doesn't fix anything, but save it for sentencing. Morrison said not unkindly. Ms. Coleman, how do you plead Amanda's attorney, a Charleston defense lawyer named Gerald Hall, expensive suit? Slicked back hair rose smoothly. Not guilty on all counts, Your Honor. My client maintains her innocence and looks forward to her day in court. Amanda smiled small sharp, like she was daring the room to come at her. Nancy stood. Your Honor, the state requests that Ms. Coleman be held without bail. She has significant financial resources, no ties to the community, and a documented history of manipulation and flight risk. We have evidence linking her to at least 4 prior instances of financial abuse across 3 states. Holt objected immediately. Your Honor, these are unsubstantiated allegations. I've read the briefs. Mr. Holt Morrison cut in. She looked at Amanda for a long moment. Bail is denied. Defendant will remain in custody, pending trial. Mr. Coleman, given your cooperation, bail is set at $500,000. Dorothy exhaled beside me. Preliminary hearing is set for 2 weeks from today, Morrison continued. Both defendants are remanded to Charleston County Detention. We're adjourned. The gavel came down. Outside the courthouse, the media swarmed. Nancy stood at the top of the steps, microphone extended by a reporter from Charleston Post and Courier. I stayed back with Dorothy, one arm around her shoulders as cameras flashed. This case represents a failure we don't talk about enough, Nancy said, her voice steady and clear. We think of elder abuse as something that happens to women. We think of coercive control as something that only affects wives and girlfriends. But Benjamin Coleman is a victim too. A victim who became a perpetrator. That doesn't excuse what he did, but it explains it. Is Mrs. Coleman pressing charges? Someone shouted. Nancy glanced back at us. Dorothy nodded once. Yes, Nancy said. Dorothy Coleman has given her full statement. She wants justice. She also wants the world to understand that abuse doesn't have a gender, neither does survival. Another reporter, what about the Bitcoin? Is it true there's over $1 million involved? NY's expression didn't shift. No comment on financials at this time. I steered Dorothy toward the car. Raymond was waiting by the curb, engine running. That night back at the hotel, Dorothy sat by the window and stared out at the harbor. He cried, she said quietly. I didn't ask who. I knew. He looked like he did when he was 12 and broke my favorite vase. She continued, terrified I wouldn't forgive him. Do you? I asked. She didn't answer right away. I don't know, she said finally. I want to. Part of me still sees my little boy, but another part, she touched the bruise on her wrist, fading now, but still visible. Another part knows what he let happen. I moved to sit beside her. You don't have to decide today. Nancy said he'll probably get 10 years if he cooperates. Amanda could get 30. Good. Dorothy looked at me. Is it good? Yes. She nodded slowly, turned back to the window. 2 weeks later, Dorothy asked to visit Benjamin in jail. I didn't stop her. Day 19, Charleston County Detention Center. The visiting room smelled like disinfectant and despair. Dorothy sat across from Benjamin with a sheet of reinforced glass between them. I stood near the back wall, close enough to intervene if needed, far enough to give them space. Nancy had advised against this visit. Dr. Turner had too, but Dorothy had been firm. I need to do this, she'd said, for me, not for him. Benjamin picked up the phone on his side. His hands shook. Dorothy lifted hers slowly. Arthritis still making her fingers stiff despite 2 weeks of physical therapy. For a long moment, they just looked at each other. Mom, Benjamin said finally, his voice broke on the word. Dorothy didn't speak right away. She studied his face like she was seeing him for the first time. Or maybe the last time. I couldn't tell which. You look thin, she said. Benjamin laughed bitter and hollow. Yeah, jail food isn't great. Neither was mine for 6 months. The words landed like a slap. Benjamin flinched. I'm sorry, he whispered. Mom, I'm so sorry, I don't even know how to. He stopped, swallowed hard. I should have protected you. I should have stood up to her. I should have called Dad or Nancy or the police or anyone, but I didn't. I let it happen. Dorothy's expression didn't change. Why? Because I was scared. Benjamin's tears came fast, now ugly and desperate. She said she'd leave. She said she'd tell everyone I hit her. She said she'd take everything and I'd end up in jail and lose you and Dad, and he choked. I know that's not an excuse. I know I'm a coward, but I didn't know how to get out. Every time I tried to think, she was there telling me what to think instead. Dorothy set the phone down for a moment, closed her eyes. When she picked it back up, her voice was steady. So Benjamin, look at me. He did. You were weak. She said, you let that woman manipulate you. You stood by while she locked me in a basement every night. You took your father's life insurance money and didn't ask a single question. You're guilty of all of that. Benjamin sobbed into his hands. But Chitaku. Dorothy continued, and her voice softened just slightly. You were also trapped. I saw the texts, Benjamin. I saw the journal. I know what she did to you. How she twisted everything. How she made you think you had no choice. Benjamin looked up, red-eyed and broken. I forgive you, Dorothy said. The room went silent except for the hum of the fluorescent lights overhead. You what? I forgive you. Dorothy repeated. Not because you deserve it, not because it erases what happened, but because I need to. If I carry this anger around for the rest of my life, then she wins. She already took 6 months from me. I won't give her the rest. Benjamin pressed his hand against the glass. Dorothy didn't mirror the gesture. That doesn't mean I trust you, she added. It doesn't mean I forget. It means I'm choosing to move forward without this weight. You'll serve your time. You'll face the consequences. And maybe someday we'll find a way to rebuild something. But that's a long way off. I'll do whatever it takes, Benjamin said. I'll testify against her. I'll tell them everything. You'll do it because it's right, Dorothy interrupted. Not because you think it'll fix us. Benjamin nodded, wiping his face with the sleeve of his jumpsuit. Dorothy stood. Your father's outside. I don't think he's ready to see you yet. I know. Benjamin's voice was small. Tell him? Tell him I'm sorry for everything. Tell him yourself, Dorothy said. When you've earned it. She hung up the phone and walked toward the door. I moved to follow, but she paused and looked back at Benjamin one last time. He was still sitting there, hand on the glass, looking like a lost child. Outside in the parking lot, Dorothy leaned against the car and took a deep breath. The November air was cool and sharp, carrying the salt smell of the harbor a few miles east. You okay? I asked. She didn't answer right away. Just looked up at the sky, pale blue and cloudless. He's still my son, she said quietly. I hate what he did. I hate that he was too weak to stop her. But he's still my son. You're stronger than I thought, I said. Dorothy turned to look at me, and for the first time in weeks, I saw something in her eyes that wasn't pain or exhaustion. It was resolve. 12 years alone taught me strength, she said. Now I need to learn how to live again. I opened the car door for her. She slid into the passenger seat, hands folded in her lap, and stared straight ahead as I pulled out of the lot. 1 month later, the asset recovery process began. Nancy filed motions to reclaim the insurance payout, liquidate the gold in Vegas, and reverse the fraudulent deed transfers. It would take time, months, maybe a year, but we had time now, and with it the chance to rebuild everything they had destroyed. Day 35. NY's office downtown 10th floor with a view of the Cooper River. She spread the financial documents across the conference table like a winning hand of cards. Victor stood beside her, arms crossed, looking satisfied in that quiet way investigators do when the numbers finally add up. $15 million from the life insurance payout, Nancy said, tapping the first stack of papers. Recovered in full, the insurance company fought us for 3 weeks, but we proved the guardianship was fraudulent from the start. They paid. She slid a letter across the table letterhead from Mutual of America Life Insurance. Settlement in full. Wire transfer confirmation. Victor nodded. $5 million in gold bars from the Vegas vault. Amanda had them stored under a shell corporation called Meridian Holdings LLC. Took me 2 weeks to trace the LLC back to her, but once we had the paper trail, the feds seized it. The gold's sitting in a Federal Reserve facility in Atlanta right now. $3 million in liquid investments, Nancy continued, mostly blue-chip stocks and municipal bonds. Amanda moved into offshore accounts in the Caymans and Beasts. The Caymans cooperated faster than I expected. Blaze took longer, but Victor's contacts came through. I did the math. 23 million, 23.2. Nancy corrected, plus the house at Harborview Drive, which appraised at 9.5 million. But she paused, glancing at Dorothy. I wouldn't recommend keeping it. Dorothy had been quiet most of the meeting, just listening. Now she looked up, her face calm but resolute. I don't want it, she said simply. Too many ghosts. Nancy nodded. We'll list it next week. Market strong. Should close within 60 days. After legal fees and taxes, you're looking at a net recovery of around $31 million from all sources combined. She leaned back. Combined with the Bitcoin Richards set aside in 2012, $125 million current value. You're looking at $148 million total. She looked at Dorothy. You're a very wealthy woman. Dorothy didn't smile, just stared out the window, at the river, watching a container ship make its slow way toward the port. It doesn't feel real, she said quietly. NY's voice gentled. It will once the transfers go through. Once you see the accounts in your name, once you're signing checks again instead of asking permission, it'll feel real then. Victor cleared his throat. I also located 2 more of Amanda's prior victims, one in Reno, one in Portland. Both men, both similar patterns. One filed a police report, but dropped it when Amanda threatened to claim domestic violence. The other just walked away. Both are willing to testify. Pattern evidence. Nancy said the DA's building a RICO case, racketeering, organized fraud. Amanda's a career predator. We're looking at 25 to 30 years if the jury sees the full pattern. Good, I said. Nancy closed the folder. That's everything. Dorothy, takes some time. Think about what you want, where you want to live, what you want to do. For the first time in 6 months, you have options, real ones. On the drive back to the hotel, Dorothy stared out the window, watching the city roll past the church steeples, the palmetto trees, the tourists on King Street. I don't want the big house, she said suddenly. I know. I want something small, quiet, maybe near the water, but not like that. Not a showpiece. Okay? She turned to look at me. You're not going to argue. Why would I? Because you bought that house for me. You worked so hard. You sacrificed so much. I pulled into a parking lot overlooking Shem Creek and put the car in park. Fishing boats bobbed in the marina. The air smelled like salt and pluff mud. Dorothy, I said, turning to face her. I didn't leave for 12 years to make money. I left because I thought I was doing the right thing, providing. But I was wrong. I should have been here with you. That house doesn't mean anything if you weren't safe in it. So no, I'm not going to argue. You want a small house? We'll buy a small house. Whatever makes you feel safe again. Her eyes filled. She reached over and took my hand. I want to start over, she said, Somewhere new, somewhere that's ours, not Benjamin's, not Amanda's, just ours. Then that's what we'll do. 2 weeks later, we closed on a house in Mount Pleasant, small by Charleston standards, 2,000 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths built in the 90s. The kitchen had butcher block counters. The master bedroom faced east morning light pouring through. The front porch had a swing that creaked when you sat on it. $850,000 cash. The sellers were an older couple relocating to Hilton Head, and they teared up when Dorothy told them she wanted to plant a garden. The backyard faced a tidal creek bordered by spartina grass and live oaks draped in Spanish moss. There was a small dock and enough sun for flowers. Dorothy planted roses the first week, 6 bushes, 2 red, 2 yellow, 2 white. I watched from the porch as she knelt in the dirt, gloves on tell in hand, carefully setting each root ball into soil she'd spent 2 days preparing with compost and peat moss. Her hands still ached from the arthritis, but she moved slowly, deliberately. "Why roses?" I asked, bringing down 2 glasses of iced tea. She didn't look up. "Because they're beautiful. And because after 6 months of ugliness, I want to grow something beautiful, something that blooms." I handed her the tea. She took a sip, then set it in the grass. "They'll need care," she continued. "Pruning, feeding, water. But if we do it right, they'll bloom every spring for years." "We'll do it right," I said. She sat back on her heels and looked at the small bushes still bare in the November cold. "I think I'd like to go to therapy," she said. "Real therapy already scheduled," I said. "Dr. Turner referred someone PTSD specialist." "You start next Tuesday." Dorothy nodded. "And couples therapy for us." I blinked. "You want couples therapy?" "We've been apart for 12 years, Richard. We're basically strangers who happen to be married. If we're going to make this work, we need help." She wasn't wrong. "Okay," I said. "We'll do it together." She smiled, small, tentative, but real. The first real smile I'd seen since I came home. That night we sat on the porch swing and watched the sun set over the creek. The air was cool autumn, finally settling in. The sky streaked with orange and pink reflected in the still water. Somewhere in the marsh, an egret called out. "Do you think he'll ever be the same?" Dorothy asked. I knew she meant Benjamin. "No," I said. "But maybe that's not the goal. Maybe the goal is for him to be better, to understand what he did to rebuild himself into someone who wouldn't make those choices again." She rested her head on my shoulder. "I hope so." We sat there until the stars came out scattered across the Carolina sky. A fish jumped. The creek lapped softly against the dock. It felt for the first time in years like peace. Dorothy's hand found mine in the darkness. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what? For coming back. For not giving up on me." "Never," I said. "Not ever again." The swing creaked gently as we rocked. Inside the house, the kitchen light glowed warm through the windows. Our house. Our fresh start. "When does the trial start?" Dorothy asked after a while. 8 weeks. Benjamin will testify. "You'll testify if you want to." "Nancy says it's your choice. I want to." Dorothy said firmly, "I want to look her in the eye and tell the truth. All of it. Then we will." She squeezed my hand. "And after the trial, after we live, we plant more roses. We go to therapy. We figure out who we are now. We take it one day at a time." Dorothy turned her head to look at me, her face soft, in the dim light from the porch. "One day at a time," she repeated. "I like that. Me too." We stayed on that swing until the mosquitoes drove us inside, then locked the doors and turned off the lights. Upstairs in our new bedroom with the east-facing windows, Dorothy fell asleep quickly, her breathing deep and even. I stayed awake longer, listening to the sounds of our new home settling around us. The creak of floorboards, the hum of the refrigerator, the distant sound of the creek. 8 weeks. 8 weeks. until Amanda faced justice. 8 weeks until Benjamin had to own what he'd done. 8 weeks until Dorothy could finally close this chapter. And then finally we could begin again. Week 8. Charleston County Courthouse Gallery, packed cameras stationed outside. The trial had lasted 6 days. Day 1, the prosecution opened with surveillance footage. 72 hours condensed into 12 brutal minutes. Dorothy in the basement cell. Dorothy scrubbing floors while Amanda lounged. Dorothy locked away every night at 9:47 p.m. That is not a family member, District Attorney Rebecca Harrison said. That is a hostage. Day 2, financial experts testified. Victor walked the jury through Shell Corporation's offshore accounts, the $15 million insurance payout Amanda controlled. Benjamin received $500 monthly. Victor testified Amanda spent $4 million in 18 months. Designer clothing, jewelry, luxury vehicles, all stolen from Dorothy Coleman. Several jurors shook their heads. Day 3, Dr. Michelle Turner testified that Dorothy had no dementia. Ward's diagnosis was fabricated, paid for in cash. Dorothy Coleman was medically imprisoned under false pretenses, Dr. Turner stated. Day 4, Benjamin testified. I watched my son walk to the stand in a gray suit looking 10 years older. She seemed perfect, Benjamin said, voice trembling. Made me feel like I mattered. Then things changed. She controlled my phone, my money, my thoughts. She said Dad abandoned us, that I should take back what was mine. How did you take it back? Rebecca asked. I filed for guardianship using a fake diagnosis. I signed documents she prepared. I let her turn my mother into a servant. Tears streamed. I'm not asking forgiveness. I just want people to understand how you wake up one day and don't recognize yourself. Amanda's attorney tried breaking his testimony, but the evidence was there. Text messages, journal entries, therapy records, documenting manipulation and control. Day 5, Dorothy testified. Nancy guided her through it. The isolation, the basement confinement, the $40 weekly for food, being told I was dead, killed in action. Why didn't you try to escape? Nancy asked. Because I believed my husband was dead. Because my son threatened permanent commitment. Because after 6 months of being called worthless, you believe it. Your spirit breaks before your body does. Dorothy looked at the jury. What happened to me happens to thousands every year. Elder abuse doesn't discriminate. I'm here to ensure she never does this again. The courtroom went silent. 3 jurors wiped tears away. Amanda's defense lasted 3 hours. Her attorney argued she was caught in Benjamin's scheme. No witnesses, no evidence, just hollow arguments against 72 hours of video. Day 6 closing arguments. This is about power, Rebecca Harrison said about a predator who destroyed people for profit. She weaponized love, guilt, fear. The evidence is overwhelming. Hold her accountable. The jury deliberated 3 hours 42 minutes. Guilty on all counts. 2 weeks later, sentencing day. Judge Patricia Morrison looked down at Amanda, who stood expressionless. Ms. Coleman, you have been convicted of elder abuse, financial exploitation, fraud, coercive control, and racketeering. The evidence showed a calculated campaign of abuse for financial gain. Amanda's face never changed. I sentence you to 28 years in federal prison. No parole eligibility for 20 years. You will pay full restitution of $23. $2 million to Dorothy Coleman. The gavel came down. Amanda was led away in handcuffs, head high, showing no remorse whatsoever. Then Benjamin approached. Morrison's expression softened. Mr. Coleman, your case is complex. You were victim and perpetrator. That doesn't excuse your actions, but it explains them. Benjamin stood with hunched shoulders. 10 years in federal prison with parole eligibility after 6 years contingent on successful psychological treatment programs. Benjamin's shoulders sagged with relief. Use this time to become the man your mother deserves. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Nancy guided me to the microphones. Domestic abuse doesn't have a gender, I said, looking into the cameras. My son was manipulated and controlled by someone he trusted. That doesn't erase what he did to my wife. But we don't talk enough about male victims. We don't create adequate spaces where men can admit they're being abused without facing shame or ridicule. I paused deliberately. If someone in your life controls your finances, isolates you from family and friends, constantly threatens you, makes you question your own reality, that is abuse regardless of gender. Please get help. You deserve safety. You deserve to be believed. Nancy held up printed resource cards. National Domestic Violence Hotline, Mother National Center on Elder Abuse, 18-9-11-16 help is always available. 1 year later, Dorothy knelt in our Mount Pleasant garden, pruning roses in spectacular full bloom. Brilliant red, cheerful yellow, pure white explosions of color against the lush green backdrop of the tidal creek. She looked genuinely healthier now. 51 years old, hair thick and silver white face fuller and more relaxed hands, moving without the constant arthritic pain that had plagued her for months. 3 mornings each week, she volunteered at the Charleston Elder Abuse Hotline, answering calls from frightened people who desperately needed someone to believe their stories. She had completed her PTSD therapy program successfully. We still attended couples counseling sessions once monthly, working through 12 years of separation and the trauma of those 6 dark months. I was 53, fully and permanently retired from contract work. My days now consisted of simple, peaceful routines. Morning coffee on the porch at sunrise, afternoon projects around our house, quiet evenings with Dorothy watching the creek and the wildlife. Benjamin wrote faithfully every week from FCI Butner in North Carolina. Brief letters updating us on his therapy sessions and the educational classes he was taking. Dorothy wrote back regularly, encouraging him. I didn't respond yet. Maybe someday I would. Maybe Amanda served her 28-year sentence at FCI Tallahassee in Florida. No letters ever came, no attempts at contact, no acknowledgement of what she'd done. As far as we were concerned, she had ceased to exist entirely. That particular evening, as the sun began its slow descent over the tidal creek, Dorothy and I settled onto our creaky porch swing, her head resting comfortably on my shoulder. I received a call today, Dorothy said softly, from a woman up in Greenville. Her son-in-law has been systematically isolating her from her friends, controlling access to her medications. She was crying on the phone. What did you tell her? That she absolutely wasn't alone in this? That what was happening to her wasn't normal or acceptable in any way? That she genuinely deserved so much better than this treatment? Dorothy paused, squeezing my hand. I gave her NY's direct phone number. Good, I said. That's exactly right. We rocked gently in comfortable silence. A great blue heron landed gracefully on our weathered wooden dock, standing perfectly motionless like a gray statue. The spartina grass along the creek bank rustled softly in the evening breeze. We made it through, Dorothy whispered. We did. There were so many moments when I truly didn't think we would survive this. I kissed the top of her head tenderly. We have all the time in the world now. Time to heal properly. Time to really live again. Time to discover together who we are as a couple after everything we've been through. She turned to look up at me, her eyes bright and clear in the fading light. How I genuinely like who we're becoming together. Me too, I said. Me too. The sky deepened gradually from soft pink to rich purple to deep indigo. Stars began appearing one by one across the vast Carolina sky, ancient points of light in the gathering darkness. Inside our home, the kitchen light glowed warm and welcoming through the windows. Dorothy reached for my hand and carefully laced our fingers together, her grip firm and sure. Thank you for coming home to me, she whispered. Thank you for surviving long enough for me to find you, I whispered back. We remained on that creaking porch swing until the full moon rose above the trees, silver and luminous and perfect, its light reflecting off the still creek water below, like a shimmering promise of second chances and new beginnings. For the first time in 12 long years, everything finally felt exactly right. Text on screen, Amanda Coleman is serving 28 years at FCI Tallahassee FL. Parole eligible 2044. Benjamin Coleman is serving 10 years at FCI Butner NC. Parole eligible 2030. Dorothy Coleman continues advocacy work with the Charleston Elder Abuse Network. If you or someone you know is experiencing abuse, National Domestic Violence, Hotline 1-800-799-7233 National Center, on Elder Abuse, 1-800-66M-116 Male Survivor Support, 16.org. Abuse has no gender, survival has no shame. Looking back now, I see my mistakes clearly. I thought providing meant being absent. I thought money could replace presence. I was wrong. Don't be like me. Don't sacrifice years thinking you're building a future when you're really abandoning the present. This family story taught me that the greatest gift isn't a mansion. It's showing up every single day. The family betrayal I experienced didn't start with Amanda's greed or Benjamin's weakness. It started when I chose missions over breakfast tables, contracts over conversations, distance over closeness. By the time I came home, my wife was locked in a basement. God gave me a second chance when I didn't deserve one. God preserved Dorothy through hell so we could rebuild. God put people like Nancy Raymond and Victor in my path exactly when I needed them. Here's what this family story taught me. Wealth means nothing if your family isn't safe. Success means nothing if your spouse is suffering. And silence always protects the abuser, never the victim. If something feels wrong in your home, if someone controls money, isolates you, makes you question your sanity, that's not love, that's abuse. Speak up before it's too late. Family betrayal happens quietly in the slow erosion of boundaries. In the moment you stop asking questions because you're afraid of answers, don't wait like I did. Check on your people. Really check on them and trust God even when the path seems darkest. What's your family story? Have you experienced family betrayal or learned hard lessons about presence versus provision? Share your thoughts below. If this resonated, subscribe and share with someone who needs to hear it.